So it's hard to put into words what Legion is, but if you really think about it, it's it's a superhero show that's not a superhero show. It's one of the most craziest television series ever to air in the history of television. And it follows the story of David Haller, who's this guy who thinks he has a mental problem, but in actuality he is a mutant with extreme powers. And so the whole episode follows sort of his story through flashbacks and through the present, but it's very convoluted because his memories are crazy and twisted, and it's just very funny and hilarious how they tie everything together. So while I'm recapping this episode, I'm going to recap it in sequential order because I felt like if I recap this episode and just the bits that happened, it wouldn't make sense. So where to begin? Well, I guess the episode begins with a montage of David Haller's life, of all his slow sort of descent into insanity, and then it opens up with him being sort of interviewed in a mental hospital. And after this interview, he sees this girl, Sydney Barrett, and he's instantly fallen in love and love-stricken with this girl at this mental hospital. And they choose to be boyfriend and girlfriend in this hilarious sequence where there's this interview with the shrink sort of at the mental hospital, and it's just hilarious to see. And then it shows their day-to-day routine and how they, sort of mingled with each other and fell in love. But slowly but surely, Sid gets better and she recovers. And sort of Sydney's weird quirk is she can't have any human contact, but that doesn't change. And so Sydney's about to leave the mental hospital because the shrink says she's cured. But David kisses her before she's able to leave. And they switch bodies. That's sort of one of her powers. She has telekinesis. She can communicate people via their mind and their memories, but also she switches bodies. So she switched bodies with David. And of course, David leaves the place in her body, leaves the mental hospital. And as Sydney, of course, is in David's body, and she couldn't control the powers, so David's powers, so she kills or sort of boxes in everybody in the mental hospital. And so David in Sid's body leaves, and he goes and sits down, and they actually switch back. It just zooms into David switching back. Then after this, as ridiculous as this sounds, David gets captured by a shadowy government organization, and it's sort of in a flashback or in a memory or his story of how he got captured. We see that he's telling, because this whole entire episode, it's a massive interview. David's retelling what happened to him through his perspective to these government officials who have captured him from these members of the shadowy government organization. So he's sort of telling them, okay, this is how it led up to you capturing me. And Sydney communicates with him through his memory of that, and he's in a swimming pool, basically, because he had this incident where he almost killed several people, but they put him in a swimming pool with these metal cables around him, and Sydney communicates with him through this memory and tells him, okay, you need to go under the water, David. So he goes under the water. Lightning zaps the water and fries and blows up the facility, and Sydney and a few other powered individuals break him out in this amazing sequence. And at the end of the episode, David asks Sydney, is this real, or is this a memory, or what is this? And she says, yes, this is real. So we come to realize that Sydney was real the whole entire time. She is real. She wasn't a figment of his imagination he made up in the past. And also that it truly is the present that he's telling all these tales and stories from. So if that sounds convoluted, it's because it is. This show, Legion, is extremely convoluted. It's extremely thought-provoking. You really have to think about it to understand what's going on. And it's really crazy. But at the same time, it's hilarious. I just love seeing Dan Stevens' portrayal of David Heller and Rachel Keller's portrayal of Sid Barrett. They're just hilarious, and they have such chemistry together on screen. whether it be the flashbacks in the hospital or the time they were talking in David's memories. It's just funny, crazy. It's amazing. It's like nothing else on television, and I would suggest this show to anybody. I mean, it was phenomenal, and I probably didn't do the best job describing what happened. I did the best I could, but really, you should watch it on your own, and it's just way easier to understand when you do that. But overall, chapter 1, I guess, of Legion was phenomenal. It was just, it blew me away. It honestly blew me away. And what's really cool is it's part of the X-Men universe, yet it's not. It doesn't rely heavily on it, like, per se, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. relies on the Marvel MCU. So, I don't know. It's just hard to describe, but it's amazing. And I'd have to give it a 9.7 out of 10. I hope you've enjoyed my review for Chapter 1 of Legion. Go check it out. Go watch it. You'll understand more why it's hilarious and awesome when you watch it. I hope you've enjoyed this review and recap. This has been Jonesy from Jones TV, signing off.